In the farthest reaches of the Alpheus spiral, where nebulas shimmered like molten jewels poured into the dark, stood the crystalline city of Veora. Its towers, carved from living stone and light, stretched into the skies, their tips humming with centuries of stored solar fire. Floating bridges of translucent glass crisscrossed between suspended gardens filled with bioluminescent flora that released soft, melodic hums when the wind stirred. The city itself pulsed as though alive, reflecting the heartbeat of the world beneath it. This was the seat of the Zavari, a race celebrated across the stars for their mastery of bioenergy and their devotion to feeling as the purest form of strength. Their skin shimmered in tones of pale amethyst, and their flowing hair, often shades of crimson or copper, rippled like flames in moonlight. They carried themselves with serenity, their bodies radiant with quiet light. Yet deep in the royal chamber, serenity was nowhere to be found. For on a levitating bed woven from energy threads lay Princess Elora, youngest daughter of Emperor Kalen and Empress Serenia. Elora had always been unlike her kin. While her siblings bowed to duty and walked with restrained elegance, Elora had danced barefoot across palace courtyards, laughed in the middle of solemn councils, and once escaped in a cargo pod simply to watch meteors streak across a forgotten moon. Her skin glowed in faint lavender light, her hair a cascade of fiery red, and her golden eyes always sparkled with defiance. She believed that compassion carried more power than conquest, that love would outlast law. That belief had nearly destroyed her. Weeks earlier, on the fractured moon of Corin, Elora had stepped unarmed into the crossfire of two warring clans, shielding a frightened child. She intercepted a blast of corrupted energy, a toxin no Zavari healer had ever seen. It had crawled through her veins like ink through water, unraveling her life thread. Healers tried everything, resonance alignments, memory chants, the whispering roots of the ancient world tree, but nothing slowed her decline. Her glow dimmed, her breath faltered, and whispers spread across the galaxy, the light of Veora was fading. Allies offered crystal remedies, rivals sharpened their fleets, scenting weakness. And while the palace drowned in sorrow, a stranger appeared, an alien not seen in Zavari halls for ages. His name was Jonas Hale, an astrophysicist from Earth whose life had been rerouted by accident. A malfunction in his satellite had thrown him into a wormhole, dragging him to the orbit of Veora. Rescued by Zavari patrols, he was carried to the palace as a curiosity rather than a prisoner. Jonas looked fragile among them, pale-skinned, untidy brown hair, wearing a battered hoodie. He carried a notebook stuffed with equations, his pockets filled with pens, and his eyes carried both awe and exhaustion. He did not look like a savior. He looked like someone who had lost his way to a library. Yet, when Jonas entered the chamber of the dying princess, something stirred. He had not been meant to be there. Some claimed Empress Serenia's desperation had allowed it, others whispered the sentient palace itself had guided him in. Whatever the reason, Jonas found himself trembling at the foot of Elora's levitating bed. The chamber glowed faintly, filled with attendants, priests, and the silent weight of royalty. Emperor Kalen's shadow loomed, his robe threaded with star metal, while the elder princes watched like guardians carved from steel. Elora lay still, skin pale lavender, lips parted in shallow breaths. Jonas could not understand their words, but he understood the silence, the kind of silence that once surrounded his younger sister on Earth, when doctors shook their heads and offered nothing but sympathy. He remembered promising himself then that if he ever found a way to heal another, he would try, no matter the cost. He reached forward, unsure, unthinking. His hand brushed Elora's cool purple fingers. The chamber gasped as though the walls themselves inhaled. Every Zavari froze, their eyes wide, their breath held. For carved into their oldest laws was a truth: no healer, no machine, no spell could awaken one slipping into death, only the touch of a soul bound by true feeling. Only selfless love, unspoken, could ignite the hidden spark within a Zavari's core. And so, when Jonas's skin met Ellora's, the impossible unfurled. A ripple traveled through her body like water stirred by a sudden wind. Her chest rose with a long, deep breath. A hum began in her bones, rising higher until it harmonized with the pulse of the palace itself. Golden green light threaded through her veins. Her fiery red hair floated as if caught underwater, glowing brighter with each passing second. Her eyes fluttered open, molten gold catching his. "She lives," whispered the high physician. But no one turned to her. All eyes fixed on Jonas, because the law was clear. If a Zavari was healed by another's touch, it meant her soul had chosen its match. Whether or not she had admitted it, Princess Ellora had feelings for this bewildered earthborn stranger. Jonas recoiled, his words tumbling out, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help." Emperor Kalen stepped forward, voice booming with centuries of tradition, "By the witness of stars, you have awakened her. You are the chosen one." Jonas blinked, panicked. "The what?" "No, wait, hold on. Where I come from, touching someone's hand isn't, look, this doesn't mean marriage. We don't even hug this fast." From the gallery above, laughter rolled out. Prince Dalen, the eldest, roared, "Good. Then he shall learn our ways, beginning with the trial of unity." Jonas paled. The trial of what now? Ellora's golden gaze locked onto him, confusion flickering before soft recognition. She whispered, voice weak but steady, "You stayed." Yeah," Jonas muttered, scratching his neck. "Didn't know what else to do. You looked like you needed a friend." "A friend?" Prince Corvin, her serious brother, snapped. "Healed her with a touch of destiny, and calls himself a friend? Foolish." Chaos erupted. Some cheered, some protested, ministers fainted, and ceremonial birds shrieked as they burst from stained glass windows. Jonas, meanwhile, was dragged into another chamber, stripped of his hoodie, sprayed with something smelling of ozone and lavender, and fitted into robes that shimmered with his emotions. The fabric cycled rapidly between panic red, embarrassment violet, and confusion yellow. Back in the healing chamber, Ellora sat up, weak but luminous. "Must we rush?" she pleaded with her parents. "I barely understand him. How can the cosmos demand a bond already?" Empress Serenia touched her shoulder gently. "The bond is undeniable. The galaxy will see you as one. And if you wish to survive, daughter, you must guide him." Ellora's golden eyes drifted toward the door where Jonas had vanished. She whispered, "He is kind, but so lost. Like a bird that fell out of the sky." Serenia smiled faintly. "Then perhaps you were born to teach him how to fly." Jonas sat slumped in a levitating chair while a creature that looked like a glowing jellyfish with 3 eyes lectured him at impossible speed. Its name was Gliven, the palace's ritual instructor, and it floated circles around him while projecting diagrams in light. "Step 1, Gliven chirped, its tendrils flicking through the air, exchange of soul echoes beneath the twin moons. Step 2, the binding dance. Warning, requires coordination and emotional transparency. Step 3, consumption of the nectar of shared breath. Do not swallow too quickly, previous candidate turned indigo for 6 hours. Step 4, declaration upon the spire of voices, in full view of thousands, while your aura is judged for compatibility. Do not stumble. Previous candidate stumbled. Caused minor quake. Jonas raised a hand timidly. Yeah. Question. Can I opt out? Gliven beeped sadly. Negative. Bond is activated. Refusal equals exile, possibly execution. Or public humiliation on the moon of regret. Whichever committee votes for. Jonas groaned, sinking into the chair. 1 minute he was crunching numbers about dark matter densities, the next, he was a candidate for alien matrimony. His robe cycled between frantic red and miserable gray, flashing his panic to anyone passing by. Meanwhile, in another chamber, Elora was adjusting to life after near death. The toxin that had almost unraveled her still left her weak, but her spirit had not dimmed. She had survived not through healers or rituals, but through the touch of a stranger who now stumbled through her people's sacred customs like a child lost in the woods. She could not explain it, not even to herself. All she knew was that when his hand had brushed hers, her heart had awakened as surely as her body had. She found him later that night in the Garden of Whispers, a courtyard where crystal flowers bloomed in silence, catching moonlight on their translucent petals. Jonas sat on a stone bench, scribbling equations in his notebook by faint glow. He looked up at her with wide, nervous eyes, half expecting guards to drag him away. You didn't have to come, Elora said softly, stepping closer, her crimson hair loose over her shoulders. You didn't have to heal, Jonas replied, tucking his pen behind his ear. But you did, because of me. I don't know if I owe you thanks, or an apology. Elora tilted her head, faint smile tugging her lips. You don't owe me. The law says you're mine, but I don't believe in ownership. Not of people. Good, Jonas muttered, relief easing his shoulders. Because I'm terrible at being owned. My last goldfish staged a rebellion. She laughed, a clear sound that chimed like wine through crystal branches. For the first time since his arrival, Jonas felt something warm stirring in his chest. They talked for hours, about Earth's oceans, about Veora's endless gardens, about loneliness, dreams, and fears. Jonas confessed that when he was a child, he used to watch stars through a telescope and imagine friends on other worlds. Elora admitted she'd always been curious about humans, short-lived, reckless, but with hearts that burned brighter than entire suns. You carry hope like a torch, she murmured. And you, he replied, carry kindness like armor. The moment was tender, fragile, something new being born between them. But it did not last. 2 nights later, alarms shattered the peace. Scarlet pulses lit the walls. Beyond the palace towers, black ships emerged from behind Veora's third moon, their jagged silhouettes bristling with weapons. The KRYTH Dominion, thought defeated long ago, had returned, led by the warlord General Varek, his body half metal, half flesh, his hatred hotter than a collapsing star. They know, Corvin growled, strapping plasma gauntlets to his arms. They know of the bond. They'll try to end it before it begins. Prince Dalen cracked his knuckles, grinning savagely. Then let them come. Jonas, still wearing his shimmering mood robes, stood frozen in the war room. I don't fight, he stammered. I calculate things. I observe things. I don't shoot things. You don't need to, Elora said, stepping beside him in newly donned armor of light thread and healing runes. You have something they'll never have, heart. Right now, that's the most dangerous weapon in this galaxy. He wanted to protest, but the palace shuddered as blasts tore into its walls. Screams echoed through crystalline halls. The invasion had begun. The Zavari fought with ferocity. Dalen battled a KRYTH captain on a floating bridge, twin energy blades singing with each strike. Corvin hacked into enemy channels, disrupting their formations with psychic bursts. Emperor Kalen and Empress Serenia stood back to back in the throne chamber, releasing waves of raw emotion energy that incinerated squads whole. But the invaders had one goal: capture Princess Elora. Jonas found himself racing through collapsing corridors, Elora's hand gripping his tightly. Shards of crystal and streaks of laser fire lit their path. "This is insane," Jonas panted. "We should hide." "We can't," Elora shot back. "If they take me, they'll dissect me, dissect us. They fear what they don't understand." "And what if they kill me?" he asked, voice cracking. "Then I die too," she said simply. "Our lives are bound now. My fate is yours." Jonas stumbled, stunned. "You die for me?" Her golden eyes blazed, fierce and tender. "You gave me back my life. Did you really think I wouldn't do the same?" Something inside him shifted then, not fear but awe. And though explosions rumbled all around them, Jonas squeezed her hand tighter, refusing to let go. Together, they ran toward the palace's core chamber, straight into destiny's fire. The core chamber of Veora was unlike any other place in the galaxy. At its heart floated the Orolith, a colossal crystal that pulsed with the collective emotions of every Zavari who had ever lived. Its glow shifted constantly: joy flashed gold, sorrow deepened it to indigo, hope made it blaze emerald. The chamber itself hummed like a living song. But that night, its harmony trembled under assault. The KRYTH had breached it first. Soldiers in jagged armor planted explosive charges against the crystal's base, while at the center stood General Varek himself. His cybernetic limbs glinted under the Orolith's shifting light. His red eyes locked instantly on Elora and the human beside her. "So," Varek snarled, his voice like grinding metal. "The weakling who defied death. You think love shields you? Love is nothing against power." He leveled his plasma cannon, a device fused to his right arm. The chamber vibrated as it charged. Jonas didn't think. He stepped in front of Elora. The blast struck. Heat seared through him, pain flaring brighter than anything he had ever known. His body crumpled. The world faded into darkness. "No!" Elora screamed, catching him as he fell. Her tears streaked across her lavender cheeks, glowing faintly under the crystal light. Rage and grief surged inside her, intertwining with the fragile spark of Jonas's fading life. She pressed her hands to his chest, but this was no healer's act, this was a desperate soul crying into the void. The Orolith responded. From her palms burst waves of golden-green energy, colliding with something new, something human. Jonas's dying spark fused with her own, creating a resonance that shook the chamber. Light erupted from their joined auras, racing outward in a cascade that poured into the crystal. The Orolith exploded, not into destruction, but into harmony. A shockwave of pure emotion swept through the invaders. Hardened KRYTH warriors dropped their weapons, clutching their heads as forgotten feelings, empathy, sorrow, joy, overwhelmed them. Varek himself staggered, roaring as tears he did not understand burned down his scarred cheeks. "No, no, make it stop. I feel. His scream echoed once, then fell silent. When the light dimmed, the soldiers were broken, their ships retreating into the void. The invasion had ended, undone not by blades or cannons, but by the impossible force of two souls intertwined. But Jonas lay still in Elora's arms, pale, bleeding, breathless. "Please," she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. Not again. Don't leave me. Her voice cracked. You gave me your life. Take mine if you must. Just, don't go. Then, faint as a candle in the wind, his hand twitched. His eyes opened slowly, unfocused but alive. You healed me, he whispered hoarsely. Relief and joy collided in her chest. She laughed through tears. It seems the bond flows both ways. The palace shook again, not from attack, but from release. The shattered pieces of the orolith reformed in midair, reshaped by their union into a crystal brighter than ever before. The Zavari who rushed into the chamber fell silent, struck with awe at the sight of their princess holding the strange human who had survived what no human should. At dawn, the enemy fleet had vanished beyond the moons. Smoke still curled from Vaora's scarred towers, but the city still stood. Life had been preserved. For Jonas, recovery was slow. The wound from Varek's cannon left a scar across his shoulder, glowing faintly blue, a reminder that his body was changing. Zavari healers admitted they didn't understand how he survived, their energy should have unraveled him. Instead, his cells were adapting, learning to resonate with Ellora's essence. It was no ordinary healing. It was Zyvanor, the twin pulse, a fusion of souls said to happen once in 10,000 cycles. As days passed, Jonas and Ellora often found themselves sitting together in the Garden of Whispers. Jonas traced the scar absently while Ellora spoke of old legends, and sometimes they simply sat in silence, listening to the flowers hum in the breeze. You know, Jonas said one evening, gazing at the twin moons, back home, if someone saved a princess, they'd probably get a medal. Maybe even a parade. Or a really bad action movie. He glanced at her robe-shrouded figure. Here, I just get stared at. You're not stared at, Ellora teased, nudging him with her shoulder. You're admired. Same thing, he grumbled. You're glowing people with perfect hair. I'm just a guy who forgot to pack a razor. Ellora reached out and brushed his messy hair from his forehead. I like it. It looks free. His breath caught, eyes locking with her molten gold gaze. You mean that? I mean everything I say, she whispered. Then, more firmly, which is why I must tell you, tomorrow you face the trial of unity. Jonas groaned, tipping his head back against the stone bench. Oh, come on. Can't we just sign some intergalactic papers? Maybe send flowers every anniversary? Ellora's laugh softened, then faded into seriousness. It's not only tradition, Jonas. The trial tests whether our bond is real, not just in soul, but in trust and courage. Without it, the other realms won't accept us. Without their acceptance, our peace will shatter. Jonas stared at her, frustration tangled with fear. I don't care about titles, or thrones, or politics. I just don't want to lose you. She took his hand, her touch steady. Then don't think of it as proving to them. Think of it as proving to us that what happened wasn't accident, but fate. He swallowed, heart pounding. And if I fail? Her smile was small but fierce. You won't. Because this time, I'll be protecting you. Above them, the moons drifted higher, casting their pale glow across the silent gardens. For the first time in centuries, even the palace seemed to sigh contentedly, as though it, too, believed in them. The trial of unity was unlike anything Jonas had ever imagined. It was not held in a courtroom, nor on a battlefield, but within the shifting maze, a labyrinth woven beneath the roots of the world tree. Its passages were alive, bending space and time, remolding themselves with every step. Only bonded pairs could enter, and only those whose hearts truly beat as one could find the center. Legends whispered that the maze never repeated the same test twice. It reflected the deepest fears and hidden truths of those who dared walk it. The day dawned with silver mist curling over Veora's crystal lakes. Thousands gathered on terraces above the maze, their faces glowing beneath the projection fields that would display what unfolded within. Ambassadors from distant systems tuned in, skeptical yet curious. Could a fragile human truly stand as equal to a Zavari princess? At the entrance, Jonas shifted nervously, the robe on his body flickering panic orange. Prince Dalen clapped him on the back so hard he nearly fell forward. "Don't die. Or if you do, make it dramatic." Corvin, ever stern, added flatly, "Stay close to her. The maze feeds on separation." Empress Serenia leaned close, her golden gaze warm. "Trust your heart, Jonas. It speaks truer than any map." The vines parted, revealing the entrance, a glowing arch of emerald light. Elora squeezed Jonas's hand. "Ready?" He forced a crooked smile. "Not even a little." They stepped inside. At first, the maze was quiet. Walls of pulsating crystal surrounded them, pathways vanishing as quickly as they appeared. Then the air shimmered. Jonas blinked, and suddenly he wasn't in the maze anymore. He stood in his old apartment on Earth. Rain tapped against the window. On the couch sat his younger sister, Mira, alive and smiling, just as she had been before illness had stolen her away. "You came back," she said, her voice soft, familiar, piercing. She hugged him tightly. "I knew you'd find a cure among the stars." Jonas's throat tightened. "Mira. I missed you so much." "Then stay," she whispered. "Forget this world, forget the princess. Come home. With me." Behind him, faint as an echo, Elora's voice called, "Jonas?" But Myra's arms tightened. "She's not real. I am. I'm your blood, your past. Don't leave me again." Jonas trembled, torn open by guilt. He had carried Myra's loss like a wound that never closed. But then he looked at his wrist. Wrapped faintly around it was a glowing thread, emerald, the same shade as Elora's skin. The bond mark. He closed his eyes. "I love you, Mira. I always will. But I can't live in the past. She's my future." The illusion shattered. Jonas gasped, back in the maze, Elora's hand gripping his. Tears streaked his cheeks. She pulled him close. "I saw it too," she whispered. "My greatest fear, that you would choose your world over mine." He cupped her face, his voice breaking. "You're not an adventure, Elora. You're home." The maze shifted violently. The floor dropped, plunging them into darkness. They landed on barren rock beneath a sky aflame. Above, Veora burned, cities collapsing, towers falling, the palace crumbling into fire. A booming voice echoed, "Verex. This is the future your bond has wrought. War. Ruin. Despair." Elora faltered, stepping back. Maybe he's right. Maybe peace was never possible. "No," Jonas shouted, grabbing her hand. "You don't get to take her from me." His voice cracked with raw defiance. "I don't care if the whole galaxy burns. As long as we're together, there's hope. I don't need perfection. I just need you." The burning vision dissolved. Towers rebuilt themselves, stars realigned, and before them appeared the final chamber. The Heart Grove. At its center floated two crystals, one pale pink, one green gold, spinning slowly toward each other. Ellora's hand trembled in his, her eyes shining. This is it. The exchange of soul echoes. We must speak our truths, not to the world, but to each other. The crystals will decide. Jonas swallowed. What if I say the wrong thing? There are no wrong things here, she said softly. Only honesty. She spoke first. Jonas Hale. When I saw you, I thought you were absurd, small, loud, wrapped in strange cloth. But then I watched. How you asked questions like they mattered. How you treated servants as equals. How you wept for my pain. No Zavari prince ever looked at me like that. Like I was not a symbol, not a crown, but a person. I didn't choose you because of destiny. I chose you because you made me feel alive. Jonas's breath hitched. Then, steadying himself, he spoke. Ellora. I arrived here by accident. But staying, that's been my choice. Every day, every breath. I don't understand half your customs. I can't dance your dances. But you make me brave. You make me want to be more than I am. Back on Earth, I was alone. With you, I'm not. I don't need a crown. I just need to wake up beside you, whatever comes. The crystals surged, slamming together in a radiant explosion. Light cascaded outward, the walls trembling, the air vibrating with harmony. Above, the crowd watching erupted in cheers. The bond was sealed. The trial passed. 2 days later, under comet trails and twin moons, Jonas and Ellora stood atop the spire of voices. Before all of Veora, they performed the binding dance, awkward at first, Jonas stepping on her foot, but gradually graceful as their movements synced. They drank the nectar of shared breath, Jonas nearly choking, Ellora laughing as she steadied him. And then, before millions, they spoke their vows. I choose you, Jonas said. Not because the stars command it, but because my soul knows it. And I choose you, Ellora replied. Not despite your differences, but because of them. You are my miracle. As their words ended, their auras merged, spiraling into one radiant beam that pierced the heavens. Even the ancient palace pulsed in quiet approval, as though smiling at last. Peace did not simply return, it blossomed. Together, Jonas and Ellora became more than rulers. They became a bridge between worlds. And in the seasons that followed, their love reshaped the galaxy, not with laws or weapons, but with the undeniable truth of two hearts that had found each other across the stars. And so ends the story of Jonas Hale and Princess Ellora, a human lost in the stars, and a Zavari princess whose heart beat brighter than prophecy. From a dying chamber to the shifting maze, from fire and war to vows whispered beneath twin moons, their journey reminds us that love is never bound by distance, culture, or even species. It is born in small moments, in laughter, in trust, in sacrifice, and it grows until it changes everything around it. The galaxy of their tale is vast, filled with wonders and dangers, yet at its core, what mattered most was two people daring to reach for each other. Their bond shattered laws, healed wounds, and rewrote destiny itself. That is the quiet power of connection. It can be louder than war, stronger than fear, and more enduring than any empire. If this story sparked your imagination, I'd love for you to keep the journey alive. Please subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more stories like this. Tap the like button if you believe, as Jonas and Ellora did, that compassion can outshine conquest. And most of all, share this video with someone who loves a good tale of courage, laughter, and impossible love. It might just brighten their universe too.